Yo, what is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 74 of my Tracksuit to the Top series here with Lewis FC in the Premier League. Hopefully you guys are good. Today I've got for you guys a live com in the Europa League. It's a game against Twente, but before that we've got to review the fixtures since last episode, and if you missed last episode, definitely go check it out. It was a double header as we took on Lille and Manchester United, who, as you can see, are top of the table. So yeah, let's talk about those results and what's happened since then. So last episode was the game with Manchester United and Lille. Since then, as you can see, I've actually played a decent amount of games. I've played 8 games. We've won 6 and lost 2. The 2 defeats both coming in the Premier League. And we got 4 wins, and 4 wins in the Premier League and 2 further wins in the Europa League, which is where we're going to be picking things off today. So anyway, since that Manchester United game, which as I mentioned just a second ago, Manchester United are top of the league. They've only lost 2 games all season, and I do feel as if this was the turning point perhaps in our year, getting this 2-1 win, despite the fact that we did initially get off to a bit of a rocky start against Arsenal and Forest. I do feel like that 2-1 was kind of the turning point in our season. Anyway, as you can see here, the game against Arsenal was a really unfortunate one. We actually went 1-0 down before fighting back to be 2-1 up going into the last 10 minutes. However, Arsenal with 2 late goals, grabbing the win. Danny Welbeck with an 87th minute winner. Really was heartbreaking. So that was bad, and then on the back of that we then lost 4-2 to Nottingham Forest with a rather familiar name in Brit Assombalonga. If you've been on my channel and been around for a while, you'll know why he's familiar, but he grabbed 4 against us in one game, and it was actually an unfortunate defeat despite the fact we conceded 4, but ultimately Assombalonga was just the difference maker. So anyway, around this point, after the Notts Forest game, I was starting to get a little bit worried, despite the Manchester United win, and despite the fact that in a few of these games which we had lost, we'd actually played quite well. And my primary concerns lied with the fact we didn't have a striker besides Matthew Lewis who was scoring. We were pretty much relying on Matthew Lewis's goals at all time. And as you can see, looking at these results, we've started to score goals, and that has really been the big difference from what was terrible form before. And to be honest, in our previous 8 games, you can see here that we won 3 and lost 4 and drew 1. And then in our most recent 8 games, obviously, we've got 2 defeats and 6 wins. So it has been a big turnaround, and it was at this point against this game against Kiev, there was talk of the potential sack, which was a little bit kind of I guess, a wake-up call. But as I mentioned, the striker issue was our big issue, and even against Kiev here, we did win 3-0, our first win in the Europa League, which was great. Worth noting that we are still playing in the American Express Community Stadium because our new stadium, which we have now moved into, doesn't meet European standards, or at least I think that's the case. It might be to do with the fact that we've already played in this stadium once in this tournament, and so we can't move midway through. I don't actually know if there's a rule for that. But anyway, 3-0 win there, that was a good result. The next result was a 3-2 win against Hull. Iheanacho grabbing a hat-trick. He's actually got injured again recently, which has kind of been a bit of an issue for Iheanacho. He was out for 3 weeks, as you can see here, with a twisted ankles, but he is back now. And he got a hat-trick in his kind of most recent outing, and it was a great performance. And he played really well. We dominated the game. It was a game that, perhaps on another day we wouldn't have won, but the fact that we had a goal scorer that wasn't Matthew Lewis grabbing goals made a big difference. Anyway, the next result was a 6-1 win against Newcastle. Again, not relying on Matthew Lewis so much, although he did still grab 2 himself, but Manuel Jesus has really stepped up. We signed him on loan from Granada, just as really a 4th choice striker that I could get in on loan for fairly cheap. But in this game, he came on off the bench for Iheanacho, who, as I mentioned, was injured before, in the 20th minute. And upon coming on, he grabbed himself a hat-trick and 2 assists. It was pretty much the perfect performance by a sub, and he really had an impact on the game, so that was really pleasing. And as a result of that, as you can imagine, I've been impressed with him, and I've been giving him a lot more kind of chances, I guess, to shine. Anyway, the next game was against Dynamo Kiev. Again, this one was in the kind of second time playing them in Kiev. As you can see, we won 1-0. Joallen getting set and off late on, but we really dominated the game and played very well. Pereira getting the man of the match, which was really good. Obviously, 19-year-old playing a fair bit of international football and doing very well for us. Anyway, next result, 6-1 win against Brighton. Matthew Lewis with 4, and I have something really cool to show you guys. I was nearly in tears when the news item came in. But Matthew Lewis has played twice for England. He's now an international at the age of 24. Obviously, he played a little bit in the under-21s, and his goal-scoring record there was really good. So far for England, he's not scored in the 2 appearances he has had. You can see them here. They were both on off the bench, so perhaps not the fairest assessment of his performances. But you can see here, looking at how he's done for us, he's got 14 league goals in 12 games, and in all competitions he's got 19 in 17. He's been a great player for us this year. No injuries to speak of yet, touch wood. May well have just jinxed that. And here against Brighton, he was a massive, massive player for us, grabbing 4. China and Paul Scholes also grabbing late goals, which was quite nice. China's been a player who I've been waiting to see more from. I kind of feel like he's got a lot to offer, and this year he's done okay for us. He's not been a standout player, but certainly to get a goal here is going to be good for his confidence. Anyway, the last result in this kind of run of results was against Leicester, and it was a 3-1 win with Manuel Jesus, the guy who I mentioned about giving a few more opportunities, grabbing 2 himself this game, and also Juan Carlos Leon grabbing 1 for himself too. So as you can see, he's had a very good season actually. 4 assists and 3 goals so far in 12 games, compared to last season where he had less goals and not too many more assists in triple the games. It's looking like he's really developing a little bit. Looking at his kind of training, you can see he's on the decline a little bit. I think that's because he's been very tired. I have actually rested him for 2 days out of training, which could, I guess, explain that. But yeah, he's been playing a lot of football internationally and with us, so I did give him a bit of a rest. You can see here that he is interested in joining Man City as they offer higher wages. Greedy son of a bitch. But we're keeping hold of him for now, but as you can see, there's quite a lot of clubs interested. I've got his asking price set to 80 million. Realistically, I think if I got a bid in the region of 50 million, I'd probably just run away and take it. But yeah, lots of clubs interested in this guy. Want to keep hold of him if I can, but if a good offer came in, I'd probably have to sell him. I mean, very good player in terms of his attributes, but he's never necessarily performed to those. But anyway, that's kind of a little bit about what's happened in our fixtures recently. Obviously, we are playing in Europe today, and Manuel Jesus isn't in our squad, unfortunately. As I mentioned, a player who I kind of overlooked a little bit, and as a result doesn't he isn't registered to play, which is a shame. But as you can see, looking at the goals, Matthew Lewis with 19, Manuel Jesus with 5, and then Juan Carlos Leon, Sonogo, Iheanacho all contributing a little bit. Sonogo playing really well. You can see he is wanted as well by some players again. A lot of my players are wanted, I guess you could say. They're kind of been marked by bigger European teams, and it could be challenging to keep hold of them. But I'm hopeful that we can keep hold of these players as best we can. As you can see, Sonogo's asking price of 40 million. He's been at the club and he's still got 4 years left on his deal, and he's quite happy at the club, I think. So yeah, what more could you want from a player? Very loyal, very dedicated, and that's obviously very good given the kind of current predicament I guess we're in. So anyway, looking at the Europa League for our group, because obviously we did beat Dynamo Kiev twice. We did draw against Lille before, and obviously I was about to say last episode, but it was a few episodes ago. Last time we played 20, we lost in kind of unfortunate circumstances. So looking at the league table, a win for us here would guarantee us a spot in the knockout stage, which would be fantastic. Obviously, Kiev, as you can see here, playing really poorly. They're yet to win a game in the group stage. Obviously, we've beaten them twice. Lille have drawn 3 games. Obviously, we drew against them previously. And 20 with 2 wins and 2 draws head the table. Really, it's kind of been an odd league because there aren't actually that many teams beating one another when you kind of look at it objectively. There's kind of been, 8 games played, and we've had 4 wins. In total, that's kind of an oddly low amount, to have 4 draws, I guess, in that time. But anyway, the situation, it kind of, as I mentioned, means that if we win today, we'd go above 20 with 1 game left, but we would secure a spot in the knockout stage. So anyway, looking at our team for today's game, I'm going to be playing Iheanacho and Lewis in the final third. In midfield, we go with Batageli, Ojo, Juan Carlos Leon and Sonogo. Batageli's been a good player again this year. He's kind of been a not a standout player for us, but he's kind of a player who's always down on the team sheet when he's fit and when we need him to step up. As you can see, he's played all 4 games in the continental competition, as well as 8 of our 12 league games, so he really has been a key part of our team. And as you can see, he's actually performed quite well. A 7.38 average rating gives you an idea of kind of the fact that he does contribute when we play. Anyway, looking at our squad as a whole, looking pretty good, you'd have to say. Worth noting that Suarez is almost back from injury. I don't even think I mentioned this injury because I think it happened just after the previous episode. So the reason he's not been playing is actually because he dislocated his shoulder and he's been out for 7 weeks. So that was a big injury, which has been a bit of a shame. But he's on the bench, semi-fit today. Obviously not the ideal start, I guess, to his time at the club, considering we spent £20 million on him. But I have faith that eventually he's going to come good. Obviously the injury is a little bit of a worry, and hopefully it won't be an ongoing issue, but we'll have to kind of monitor that closely. I would like to point out there is a helicopter, or is it a plane above my house? You may not have even heard that in the microphone, but it's currently 10 to midnight. I think it was a helicopter, which just seems ridiculous to have one flying at this time of night, because I thought I would record now while it was nice and quiet, but that doesn't work. But anyway, for all I know, you couldn't even hear it down the microphone, so I've made a fuss over nothing. But yeah, I'm looking for us to get some revenge over Twente today, because obviously we did do a lot better than the scoreline reflected last time we played them. We were the better team, we were unfortunate, and that's not the start we wanted, because we've gone 1-0 down very quickly. But yeah, last time we played Twente, I think we had over 40 shots in total and lost 2-1. It was a game that I kind of do still remain adamant we were unlucky in. It was also something that kind of gave birth to my ideas to change our system a little bit, kind of tactically, adjust some player roles, etc, etc. I must admit, so far on the save, I've never really focused too much on the tactics and the system I'm playing. I kind of feel like I gloss over that a little bit in videos, so I might go into a bit more detail either in the first episode of each season, or maybe, just, whenever I'm changing stuff around. I talked a little bit about it previously. But anyway, Nacho through here. Matthew Lewis banged that, kicks it straight at the keeper. Of course he does. Matthew Lewis obviously been the leading man for us, really, in our system. Our tactic this year, obviously we are using the 4-3-1-2, which we started using last year. I'm pretty sure I talked about it a bit when it was first implemented, but it's starting to become a little bit more of a direct system rather than us trying to build up play and play short, simple passing. I've kind of gone through the motions a little bit and kind of come to the conclusion that there's no point in playing attractive football when we can just boot it up and stand as good a chance of creating opportunities and also having shots ourselves by doing that. But anyway, we're on the attack here. Corner, can't make it past the first man, but Matthew Lewis with another attempt to cross it. Nacho's there, that is a block and a half. That was a clear-cut chance. The corner not initially dealt with by Twente, but unfortunately the defender stood in the way. Can we make anything of this second attempt? No, we can't. Corona kicks it off the line for them and keeps the scoreline at 1-0. But looking at the stats, we are in control of this game. This is very deja vu-y at this point. I don't know if that's technically a word, deja vu-y, but I feel like we've been here before. We've been on top against Twente. I guess the difference is that last time we played against Twente, we actually created a lot more clear-cut chances and didn't take them. Whereas here we've created 2, taken 1, obviously. The second one was a block, which can't really pin on our players too much. But we do need to step things up regardless and look to create more opportunities. Obviously, Twente grabbing that very early goal was a bit of a kick in the teeth and wasn't the start we were looking for. And now they're on the attack again. Can we deal with this? Ball's whipped in, cleared away, but Breinberg has it there. Corona's there, whips it back post. Linson, what a save, Kouakou. What a save by the Ivorian, the titan between the sticks. Not the tallest goalkeeper by any means, but that's an incredible save there as the cross went to the back post. He made his way across, he dived, he threw himself in front of the ball, made the save, and what a save that was. Well, I should also point out, I didn't really mention this scenario, but if we were to draw this game, there's still a chance that we do qualify for the knockout stage today. If we lose here and Lille win, it means squeaky bum time, and I will have to live-con the last game of the Europa League, and it won't be particularly comfortable, I don't think. But try not to think about that just yet. I'm hoping we can put in the performance here as Batagelli rifles that into the roof of the net. What a finish that was. I think that was Matthew. Was it? I was about to say Matthew Lewis the assist, but it wasn't. It was Sonogo. Probing the ball around the edge of the area. Very crowded there, you'd have to say, but the ball breaks to Batagelli and he just smashes that into the top corner. No keeper in the world is saving that one. And the Argentine opens his goal-scoring account for the season. It's a bit surprising that it's taken him this long, because he does seem to get a fair few goals, or at least he has done in the past. But I'm not complaining one little bit. That's a big one for us. And looking at the last 5 minutes possession, we are on top. We are gaining some momentum. I think I'm going to make some tactical changes here. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different to perhaps what I'd normally do, because why not? So I'm actually going to go to our wide attacking system, but we're going to go to kind of our old throw men forward system of playing our 4-4-2, but with the wingers out wide on attack. I feel like we can win this game, and I want us to go out there and really, I guess, try and win it. So we're going to throw some men forward. We're going to go on the prowl, and I'm hoping that playing China and Sonogo out wide is going to work for us. There is a few reasons behind trying out this system. I've been experimenting it a bit in the closing stages of some of the games we've been winning comfortably. The reason for that being, of course, is that we have some very good wide players in China and Sonogo, although they are more naturally and perhaps better suited to being centre mids. And so I like to give them a chance out there, although this may backfire as Twente are on the attack. We do deal with the ball though. Can we deal with it again? We can in Sewer, but both our midfielders sitting fairly deep in the middle, and Zulu's there, hits the crossbar, and that is a great block. I think it was Harry, and it was the number 5, just stopping the play from coming in. And perhaps I should just settle for the draw now. I'm going to stick with our guns. I'm going to stick to the system. I have faith that there's still a late chance here. So we are on the attack. China's there. Hits the crossbar. I think that was the keeper who parried it. But unfortunately for us, it didn't find its way into the back of the net. Although there might still be a chance. There's a minute left. If we can make something happen, it'd be incredible. But the ball is dealt there by Twente. But we still have possession. Can we do the impossible? Probably not. Ball pumped into the box. Ihin Nacho's way. Unfortunately, he can't win the aerial duel. And the longer this goes on, the more I'm kind of suspecting that it's over. Although that's an effort by Twente there late on. Kuaku holds on to it. And with 10 seconds left, it's looking like it's going to be another drawing at this group. The Europa League group of draws continues to see more draws. As we were probably the better team, but just a little bit unlucky, I guess. A bit poor finishing wise by ourselves. Looking at the way things have panned out, Kiev beat Lille. I'm not sure if this is the group stage is done on head-to-head. I have a feeling it might be, which would mean that we reach the first round, and indeed we do, because it goes to head-to-head and we beat them in both the games against them. So I probably won't worry about doing that last game against Lille in the group stage, but good to get out of our group nevertheless. Obviously, it's not been the most convincing group performance. If you were to tell me that I'd win 2 of my first 5 games or 2 of my 5 group games and be secure in the next round, I probably would have laughed at you, because that just seems silly. But that is the situation we find ourselves in. So, in terms of where I'm going to join you guys next episode, I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking about maybe doing a longer break. Maybe going to the start of January time. There's a few fairly big games here, but there's also quite a lot of winnable games. Obviously, we have that really tough run of league games that you can see here of Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal. I have no doubts I'll probably want to live-com some of those games. I may even do the Chelsea and Liverpool game together and Manchester United and Arsenal game together and do a longer break. Obviously, with it coming up to January, there's Bosmans to keep an eye out on. Obviously, something that I really strongly recommend you do when you're playing, if you're a club like me and you enjoy signing Bosmans, is that with a few months before, obviously, the January the 1st kind of approach to sign date, obviously, if a player plays outside of England when you're managing in England, and he has 6 months left on his contract, you can approach him to sign him on a free at the end of his deal. What you can see here is a list of all the players who have a year left on the deal who I've scouted. Obviously, this is them sorted by their recommendation. A few older players here, players like Ronaldo, Suarez, they're good players, but they're not really going to offer anything long term. The one player who I'm really looking at as someone who I'd like to sign, if possible, is this guy, Alexander Haas. But that's going to depend on if Seville don't offer him a new contract, of course, because otherwise, obviously, if he signs a new contract, he's not going to be able to come to us. But he looks like he could be a very good player, so maybe one to keep an eye out on. But anyway, that's going to wrap things up for today's episode, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Another kind of anticlimactic result, I guess you could say, in Europe. We seem to have this weird issue of outplaying teams that just seeming incapable to score. Incapable, is that word? Incapable is the word I'm looking for there. But yeah, anyway, that's going to wrap things up from me. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you did, smash the like button. And other than that, this is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.